Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Welcome into First Pitch for Tuesday, September 7th. I am Drew Martin, your host, joined by Steve Merril and Dave Cokin of WagerTalk.com. Guys, we got 4 games on tonight's slate, the Tuesday night MLB slate. We got best bets at the end. First up here, Dave Cokin. Good start to the college football season. Dave, welcome to the show. Happy Tuesday morning to you.
Thank you, sir. As I adjust my patch. A couple of things to talk about. One is that I wish fried chicken was better for me than it is. I indulged last night while watching the Monday night football game with a rather famous, well-known chicken distributor. That stuff's good. It really is. I could eat that 7 days a week. But anyway, back to college football. My baseball was not good yesterday. In fact, the baseball last week has been kind of humdrum. We'll try and get that straightened out. College football, 4-1 start. Really just missed on a perfect 5-0, but I'll take 4-1. I have a free play that's up for this weekend on a game that I think is a wipeout. I have another play that's up as a best bet, small dog that, in my opinion, should be the favorite in the game. Really like that game. I didn't make it a 5%, but it was close, and it's definitely a 4% best bet. I don't think there's anything else. Do I have anything else up? No, not that I can recall. There will be more coming, though. But check out the free play on my Twitter feed at Dave Cokin. I don't know if it's up yet on my Wager Talk homepage, but it will be at some point reasonably soon. And set for baseball tonight. I'll tell you about a game I do like somewhat as we get into the discussion today.
Sure, Dave, and a pretty solid baseball night it is. And we also got Steve Merril here, so check him out at WagerTalk.com. It's also $2 Tuesday at WagerTalk, and you can find his college football analysis on the Every Game on the Board podcast as well. But without further ado, happy Tuesday morning to you, Steve. Welcome into the show.
Yeah, Drew, it was a great start for me as well with college football. I did not acknowledge week 0. I started with week 1 here, Thursday through Monday. I went 4-2, 67%, used all big favorites for the most part. I like to find those games early in the season where I think one team can just dominate, and it worked well for myself and my clients. And MLB totals still ranked number 1 this season. I bring that up because I've got 2 over-under best bets tonight for Tuesday. I made a 2-for-1 special for Tuesday night, 2 of those number 1 ranked MLB totals this evening for my clients. Now, if you want to get the 2-for-1 special, it's a good deal. But the best deal I've maybe ever had went live this morning, and that's the rest of 2021 for $4.99. That's over a 60% discount. It's normally $11.98. It's normally $1,200 for the next 4 months. You get it for just $4.99. I'm doing this because football is here. Baseball is remaining, number 1 ranked in totals. I want everybody to get on board now. Get the next 4 months for just over $4 a day. $4.99. No promo code needed. It's on my page right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Good stuff, Steve. Under a nickel, guys. $100 better. Only need 5 units there. So check them out. Steve Merril, Wager Talk page. Let's get started here in the AL East, Dave. We get the Tampa Bay Rays and Boston Red Sox. Rumison going for the Rays. It looks like Eduardo Rodriguez, the lefty, going for Boston. Almost a pick-em price right across the board. -105, let's call it. That's the either way, I guess the Red Sox at home, 9.5 being the total. Not sure if it's a bullpen game here, Dave. Actually, he's gone 4, 5, and 4 innings the last 3 times out, and very good. Talking about the Rays pitcher here. What are you thinking in the AL East tonight in Fenway, Dave?
Now, Rasmus has been terrific, and he'll be in the rotation for the Rays come playoff time. Because obviously they have to make some changes with Tyler Glass now doing the Tommy John thing, so he's out. And Rasmussen, he's not going to be a pitcher who goes 7 or 8 innings. That's not going to happen. But that doesn't really matter with Tampa because the way they configure their pitching and the way Cash handles the rotation, it's go out there and pitch 3 innings. If you're hot, we might leave you out there for a couple more. And that's it. Turn it over to the bullpen after that. And the bullpen, look, it's not going to be good every night, but it's a decent bullpen. The Red Sox issues were on full display yesterday. They got out to a big lead. Chris Sale, I mean, his earned runs, he only gave up 1 earned run, but he wasn't particularly good last night. The defense was not good behind him. And then the bullpen was just caved in late, and there was more bad defense. That's a couple of games over the last handful of days that the Red Sox have given away big leads, which is a little bit alarming. I mean, they're not playing bad baseball. They're only, I mean, had they held on to win yesterday, they would have passed the Yankees for the first wild card spot. So they're hanging in there despite all these players being out with the COVID stuff. I think they're up to 10 right now, which is extraordinary. So give the Red Sox and Cora credit for finding a way to get things done. They're getting mileage out of some guys who are kind of AAA guys or quad A guys, but I just can't see it continuing with all these absences. In Tampa, with a good comeback last night, I think a pitching edge here with Rasmussen over Erod. I did bet this game, and what I did was I split the first 5 in the full game. I went first 5 on Rasmussen because he's simply got better numbers than Eduardo Rodriguez. It's close because Erod has had some decent starts lately, but the edge still goes to Rasmussen. Bullpen edge, and again, take this with a grain of salt because bullpens, it's hazardous. Anytime you make a bet on a bullpen, you should have orange cones surrounding your phone, right, because it's a danger zone. But nevertheless, I did split this. I bet first 5 for half my bet and full game for half my bet, and I took the Rays.
All right, I like it, Dave. And Steve, coming to you next. Dave was just touching on it, the bullpen advantage here. Big bullpen advantage towards the Rays. The Boston Red Sox, I mean, you could make the argument this is the worst bullpen in MLB here, Steve. So talking about the later innings, in my view, a huge advantage towards the Rays. But what are you thinking tonight in Fenway?
Yeah, and something to keep in mind on also is, the Rays are really pulling away in the AL. Obviously, they're 8.5 up in their division, but right now they're, I believe, about 6.5 ahead of Houston for the best record in the American League. So at some point here in the next week or two, they could definitely take their foot off the gas, kind of coast into the postseason, get healthy, stay rested. So that's something to keep an eye on. I kind of feel like this is the last hurrah maybe for them. They do have Detroit on deck and then Toronto after this series. Last week when I was on the show, I talked about that misleading offensive performance against the Red Sox the last day of August when they put up the 8 runs on just the 5 hits. It's the night that the Red Sox, I believe, lost Bogarts also to the COVID. The Rays then lost 2 straight, put up only 2 total runs, but they have heated up since. They scored 32 runs now in their last 4 games. They've gone 3-1 in those. More importantly, though, I like to look at hits. They had 8 hits or less in 5 straight games until the last 3, and they have put up quietly 43 hits in those last 3 games. So this offense is hot, to say the least. It's been one of the best offenses in baseball this year. So it's hard to fade the Rays for that reason. I would agree with Dave. And I would also look at the over. I mean, 9.5 is a very manageable number for both of these offenses, especially with the current form that Tampa's in.
All right, guys, next game up, we're heading to Milwaukee. We get the Philadelphia Phillies and Milwaukee Brewers. Steve, coming to you first, we get Aaron Nola on the hill for the Phillies, Lauer on the hill for the Brew Crew. Another pick'em price here, call it Milwaukee minus 108, 8.5 being the total. This is actually a rematch. These two teams with the same pitchers back in early May. I'm not sure how much that has to be involved here, but Philadelphia, their offense heating up here, Steve. You interested in getting involved with the Phillies and Brewers tonight?
Yeah, and look, I mentioned Milwaukee several months ago on this show and other shows as my sleeper long shot to win the World Series. I still think there's value there. The whole logic was that they're going to pull away with their division, which they've done. They're now 11 ahead of the slumping Reds, who are struggling. And more importantly, they have a great 1-2 rotation with Burns and Woodruff. And if Peralta's healthy, they'd have a great 1-2-3 rotation. So any 7-game series, I still think Milwaukee could very well still be the team to beat. But they don't have a lot to play for here over the next few weeks. And it looks like we saw that last night, or yesterday rather, as they lose 12-0 with Woodruff on the mound. Philly, meanwhile, here come the Phillies. They're only a game and a half behind the Braves. They're making a push. They're only 2 back on the wild card. They're live for that spot as well. And I like the offensive momentum. I mean, not only did they win 12-0 yesterday, but they have quietly scored 7 runs or more now. I believe it's something like 7 of the last 10 or 9 of the last 12. I'd have to pull it up, but they've scored 7 or more in the majority of their games the last couple of weeks. So they're in excellent current form offensively. I think these could be 2 teams heading in the opposite directions right now. So Philly would be live at the pick'em price and the over as well.
And Dave, what are you liking tonight in Milwaukee?
Not much, because I can't really figure out Aaron Nola. There's been so many occasions this year where it looks like, okay, there's the buy sign on Nola. He's getting back to where he's supposed to be. I mean, this guy's supposed to be a number 1 starter. He's not a number 1 starter this year. Zach Wheeler is the number 1 starter in this squad. And you can argue that even though it's less innings, Ranger Suarez has been more reliable than Nola. And Nola did it again last time out. I mean, he looks like he's found his form, and then he just gets raked in his last start. It's really difficult for me to get involved with any of the games that Nola's pitching. Nola's pitching for the Phillies right now because I just don't know which version is going to show up. I do agree with Steve that Milwaukee is kind of in a relaxed mode right now. They can kind of coast home, but nobody likes to get beat 12-0 at home. I don't care if they've already clinched the division. That's still embarrassing. And I think the Brewers are going to come out with a little sense of purpose tonight. Pitching edge, I guess, goes to Nola, but I'm shaky on that. I think the team edge here, in my opinion, off the 12-0, actually goes to Milwaukee. I think they're going to want to go out there and make a statement tonight. So I'll lean to the Brewers. It's definitely not a play. The only game I'm involved in is the Red Sox-Rays game, which I just told you about. But I'll lean to the Brewers.
Okay, good stuff, Dave. And guys, next game up, we're going to head to Wrigleyville, actually. Cincinnati Reds and Chicago Cubs here. Dave, we get Sampson going for the Cubs. Looks like he's had a rough go of it of late. We get Wade Miley, the lefty, of course, going for the Reds here. Minus 150 favorites is what we're seeing the Reds as the away team. 9.5 the total. This Reds lineup, I guess you could say, heating up of late. What are you thinking here in Wrigley Field, Dave?
I think the Cubs have won, 7 in a row now? How the hell did that happen? And the Reds, meanwhile, I mean, this wild card was there for the taking. Padres were playing lousy ball. Reds with a pretty easy schedule down the stretch. It's like, okay, Cincinnati looks like they should be. And what have they done? They've hit the skids. Bad weekend. They're not playing good baseball right now, and it looks like the Reds might be feeling the pressure. In fact, you could argue that that's the case for a lot of these teams in the National League who are trying to either vie for the NL East title or get the wild card. I cannot back Adrian Sampson, and I would expect Wade Miley to rebound off a bad start last time out. Miley's been really good this year. He just had location problems in his last start. Veteran left-hander should be able to fix that. So I guess the Reds look like the right side, but I'm not laying $1.70 to find out.
Yeah, it is a little bit pricey here on the road favorite, Steve. I kind of agree with Dave. Maybe a pass here, but if you made me bet it, lay the wood with the Rays. What are you thinking?
Oh, first of all, I mean, the Cubs at home against lefties have been much stronger this year. They're batting almost 35 points higher. They're averaging almost 2 runs per 9 innings more at home against lefties and righties. So that favors them here. And as Dave said, I mean, where the hell did they come from? I mean, they've won, what is it? It is 7 straight, I believe. And this is a team just a few weeks ago we were talking about was the worst team in baseball. Right after the trade deadline when they were sellers, it looked like they had just tossed up the white flag and surrendered. Terrible losing streak there for about a month. And we talked about it. You don't try to catch that falling knife. And you know that, Drew Martin, in the financial markets, you don't catch that falling knife like Bitcoin this afternoon. But you also don't do it in the sports markets. Yet when things turn, you ride that momentum, you ride that trend. And we waited for the Cubs to turn. They've won 8 out of 9, 7 straight. I'm not going to buck that trend until I see otherwise. And it does look like the Reds are starting to choke a bit. As I mentioned earlier, they're 11 behind the Brewers. They're not going to win the Central. We all know that. But surprisingly, they are in contention for the wild card still. Even with the current struggles, losing 7 out of 10, they're just 1 back for the wild card as San Diego doesn't seem to want to pull away for some reason. But I like the Cubs here. You know, one angle that works well in Major League Baseball in September is playing these ugly ducklings. And also works in the NFL. In fact, if you blindly in the NFL in December play teams that are out against teams that have to win, you've made money over the years as well.
Yep.
I think Chicago's a good contrarian call here. And I don't mind saying contrarian, even though they've won 7 straight.
Well, okay, Steve, I like that kind of like profile type of bet here towards the end of the MLB season. Some ugly dogs, let's call it, huge plus prices you've noticed over the years has been a moneymaker.
Yeah, and I think, Dave, would you agree? I mean, this is the one time of year where you can start seeing some big dogs cash because they're out of contention, but they expand the roster. They call up young guys, and these guys are playing hard. These AAA guys play hard. And, yes, and also not only that, but like I talked about the Rays, the Brewers, you know, these teams can kind of take their foot off the gas now that they've wrapped up the division as well. And yet the odds makers don't seem to adjust. They also get caught looking at football. And, yeah, there's some sneaky big dogs that can cash in September.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, you know, look, if you look at the Cubs roster, it's populated now by a bunch of guys who are trying to prove that they can play at the major league level. A lot more money to be made in the majors than there is in the minors. You don't have to room with 5 guys when you're in the majors. You do in the minors. They're all cramped in one little house or one little apartment. Minor league baseball is not. I mean, the dream might be alive, but the conditions are not the best for minor leaguers. So these guys are excited, and they're playing like it right now. And the Cubs have actually been getting some halfway decent pitching. Their bullpen. Hoyer, the kid they picked up for the White Sox, has looked good. Rowan Wick looks like he's kind of establishing himself as maybe a guy who's going to be a closer, and certainly a nice late inning guy. So, props to David Ross and the Cubs for playing hard down the stretch. And I'm sure they'd like to be spoilers and do some damage to the Reds tonight. But I still don't like going against Wade Miley.
Yeah. Guys, we got one game left. Best bets at the end here. Steve, coming to you first. We get the Chicago White Sox and the Oakland A's, and the nightcap here for the show. Lambert and Cap going for the A's. Minus 130. That's Oakland at home. Total of 9. Lambert, of course, being recalled from AAA. Charlotte here making a start in MLB. What are you liking White Sox and A's tonight, Steve?
Yeah, overnight I'd seen undecided a lot of spots for the White Sox, but like you said, it looks like it's going to be Lambert tonight. It's always a concern when they don't have a guy decided because it almost makes you feel like they're not taking that game too serious. But White Sox are in good current form. They've won 4 out of 6. They've been one of the best teams in baseball this year. Oakland, meanwhile, has underperformed this season, in my opinion. They've lost 4 out of 5 now. It's been the pitching, actually, it's gotten to them over the past week. Their offense has actually been okay. You look at their recent games, they've lost 4 out of 5, but they've scored 6 runs or more in 4 of those 5 games. They put up 8 or more in 3 of the 5. So once again, I probably would lean towards Chicago in this one, and not a huge opinion on the total. Current momentum would say maybe the over here, but I think the best lean is probably the White Sox at plus money. We're getting the better team as an underdog. I think a lot of that's just because of that uncertainty we had overnight with the starting pitcher.
Sure. Dave, I agree with Steve here. I think the White Sox are the side at plus money. Cap, he hasn't exactly been good, Dave. 10 earned runs in his last 9 innings, so recent performance. Questions here with the Oakland A's starter, but what are you liking tonight in the Coliseum?
Well, I'm not really enamored with Lambert, who kind of looks like a quad A guy to me. Caprillion has been better at home than on the road, and Oakland needs wins. I mean, these are big games. Now, here's the thing. That need factor is built into the line because you're looking at the White Sox as this big a dog, or we'll just focus on the Oakland side. Oakland minus 130, minus 140 over a division leader. And the A's not getting the pitching right now. It's one of those spots where do I think Oakland, if the game was pick 'em, I'd probably take Oakland. But it's not. It's minus 140. Forget about it. There's not a chance in the world I'm going to lay 7-5 with the A's, considering their current form. Their bullpen's a little bit of a mess. Actually, the starting rotation hasn't been good. I think the Chris Bassett injury has had a little bit of a domino impact because Bassett was very reliable for this team, and it's kind of moved everybody down a notch. I don't know what to do with it. It's just one of those games where you say, well, they priced me out, so I'll leave it alone.
Nothing wrong with that. Passing on the nightcap here for the show. But guys, that does lead us in to best bets. I don't know, maybe the best bet towards Bitcoin. You mentioned it there, Steve, or heading to the Diamond, man. Where are you going for best bets for the show, buddy?
Yeah, going to look at a baseball game here for Tuesday night, September 7th, a game that was just a bit outside from being a best bet tonight. And by the way, I do have 2 strong 4% best bets for my clients tonight on Tuesday. Both are MLB slugfest easy overs. I love these games that soar over the total. Sit back, watch the run score, don't sweat it. And by the way, number 1 this year in MLB totals at WagerTalk.com. Huge specials I mentioned right now. Get the rest of 2021, all of my college and pro football, NBA and college basketball, and Major League Baseball for the next 4 months for just over $4 a day, $4.99. That's over a 60% discount. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Best special I've ever had for those taking a serious long-term investment. Free play for the show here on Tuesday night, a game that was just a bit outside, is the over between the Phillies and Brewers. It opened 8. It's up to 8.5, but 9 is the key number. There's still value over 8.5 minus $1.15 with Philly and Milwaukee over the total. And keep in mind, this Philadelphia offense is sneaky, quietly hot. This team has now won 8 of their last 10 games. They have now put up 7 runs or more in 8 of their last 11 games. The total is 8.5. This team has been scoring 7 on their own in most games, and they had 12 yesterday against Milwaukee. Now, the Brewers are coming off a shutout, but I think that'll wake the offense up a little bit. I think they'll play harder here. They're running away with the Central Division. They took yesterday off with their ace on the mound, Woodruff, or their co-ace on the mound. I think they'll have a better effort tonight. They realize they got to bring the offense to compete with Philly. And this is still a Milwaukee team that had scored 14 runs combined the 3 previous games before the shutout last night. So I think both offenses can get it there tonight. A fairly low total, 8.5 over. Milwaukee, Philly, over 8.5 goes tonight on Tuesday at 7:40 Eastern.
I'm going to stay in the same ballpark tonight for my best bet, guys, but I'm going on the Philadelphia side. Pretty much a pick 'em price, actually just the slight underdog here, minus 102. We can get it at talking about the Phillies as the road favorite. Their lineup hot. Steve touched on it. Top 5 lineup in baseball the last week. We also get Aaron Nola on the hill. Last time he faced the Milwaukee Brewers, it was back in early May. He had 6 innings, only 1 earned runs, and 10 strikeouts. So this Milwaukee lineup was not seeing him very well. And on the other side of things, this is a rematch, both the game and starting pitchers from that early May game. Lauer went up against this Philadelphia offense, went 6 innings, 8 hits, gave up 3 home runs in that game. So for whatever reason, they were seeing the ball well out of his left arm. So I think that points towards the Phillies here as the slight road favorite. Also, their bullpen of late has been a lot better. Actually, if you go by just the last month of metrics, actually better than the Brewers bullpen, which is surprising. So I agree with Steve's assessment of the over, but I personally bet the Philadelphia Phillies near the pick'em price, slight underdogs here, minus 102, and also like Aaron Nola's over with his strikeout prop of over 5.5 strikeouts. But that's just an extra, guys, for record-keeping purposes on Philadelphia Phillies, minus 102 tonight. Dave, where are you going for best bets tonight, buddy?
Well, first, let me talk a little college football again. Don't forget, college football today is our Wager Talk broadcast, and it's approximately 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll be discussing 4 games today. I have a free play that's up right now on my Twitter feed at Dave Cokin, and also I believe it's available now at the website at WagerTalk at wt.buzz/DC. Also, I have a best bet up for Saturday in college football, and I would absolutely say get the game now because the line is not going to hold. In fact, it's already moved. And the side I took is going to end up being the favorite in this game, which they should have been in the first place. The value is still there, but it won't be for long. This is why I put games out early in the week. One of the things I do really well in college football, regardless of the results, and the results are fine, but one of the things I do best in college football is understand what the lines are likely to do, and that allows me to get the games out at what I think is going to be the best number. And I can guarantee you that the number I put out the best bet at, it's not getting better than it was this morning. In fact, it's already not. Get it now at WagerTalk.com. Best bet for the show, I'll go to the Rays game. I did play both the first 5 in the full game, and I explained earlier why, so no need to rehash that. But for the best bet purposes, we'll use the full game. Rays, about pick 'em for the full game against the Red Sox.
Yeah, big bullpen advantage there towards the Rays tonight, guys. In recap for the best bets here, got Phillies minus 102 for myself. We get Dave Cokin, Rays at the pick'em price in Fenway tonight, and Steve Merril, Phillies Brewers over 8.5. So that does it for the show. If you're tailing the best bets, best of luck for Steve Merril, Dave Cokin. I am Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in. Please smash that like button on your way out, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck with your bets until then.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.